Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Adrian. Thank you so much for joining me today. So, we have a very special Let's Play for today. We're going to be jumping into a game called March of the Eagles. This is by Paradox Development Studio and Paradox Interactive. It actually was released, I believe, early 2013, before the release of Europa Universalis IV. I'm not really like a nostalgia critic. I don't really like to, dive into nostalgia and stuff like that, but this game is fucking pretty cool, especially if you like the Napoleonic era, the late 18th century, early 19th century. If you love Napoleon Bonaparte, you love, the Napoleonic Wars and the French Revolutionary Wars and all this kind of stuff, you're going to love this game. And it's a shame because most people have actually never played this game before. This game was actually meant to be a new installment into, Paradox Development Studios IPs. It was supposed to be something big, and they were really disappointed with how many people had actually bought it, and they never continued with it. They never really patched the game. They never continued development on it, and it's a damn shame. So I wanted to try something new, and so I've been playing, March of the Eagles over Christmas break, and dude, this game is fucking actually really, really fun. It's really awesome, and I just wanted to do a Let's Play of it, just kind of have some fun. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of assuming that most of you guys have never seen this game before. I've never played it. And so I just wanted to do a Let's Play and really encourage you to check out this game and go and buy it during the Steam Winter Sale. You should be seeing this at least sometime before the new year. So you should be seeing this on sometime in 2016. So I really want you guys to check out this game with me, and I'll try and explain some stuff and show you what the game is about. So let's go ahead and go into the single player. And first off, what you might notice is that the map is actually fairly small in comparison to something like Europa Universalis IV. It actually might even remind you a little bit of Hearts of Iron 4. If you actually zoom in here, you zoom in, you can see there's just shit tons of provinces. A lot of detail here. There's a lot of rivers and stuff. Very, very detailed provincial map mode. There's a lot of provinces. Even look at like Moldavia here. Look at how many provinces there are here in just Moldavia alone. If you look at Wallachia here. So it's a small map as far as the scope of the world. However, for the time period in 1805 AD, this is the center of the world. This is where literally the history of the world was being played out, was between all these countries: France, Great Britain, Austria, Prussia, Spain, all that stuff. So, this game takes place. This game, at least the vanilla game, takes place in 1805 AD. 1805 is a little bit during the time of the War of the Third Coalition between France and Great Britain and the Continental Allies. The French Revolution of 1789 heralded more than a decade of war. People had high hopes for the Peace of Amiens in 1802, but it proved no more than a short truce. The armies of the Emperor Napoleon now mass at Boulogne, preparing for a cross-channel invasion, while Great Britain casts her diplomatic net seeking to form a third coalition. 8 great nations fight for dominance over Europe. The Royal Navy of Great Britain ensures the country's naval dominance, while the French Grand Army dominates on land. Any country who seeks to dominate Europe must go on land and at sea. So, basically, you get to pick one of these countries. You jump into the game, and, if you're France, you are basically wanting to dominate all of Europe. In fact, they actually do start already with a pretty significant possession of territory. They actually own all of the Kingdom of Piedmont, Sardinia. They have Italy, Tuscany, and the Papacy as puppets, as well as Switzerland. They've annexed everything left of the Rhine River. So, as you can see here, Cologne, Mainz, Metz, Trier, Cochem. Let's see here, a lot of Flanders, a lot of Flanders, the Netherlands here. Historically, this was the Batavian Republic, but it was actually eventually turned into the Kingdom of the Netherlands, owned by Napoleon's brother, Louis. I believe it was Louis. Is that Louis or Joseph? The King of the Netherlands. Napoleon had appointed him King of the Netherlands, and very interesting history, actually. And then, as you can see here, Prussia is here. Austria, obviously the Habsburg realm, was quite massive at this time. It had a very large population, but it's very multilingual, very multi-ethnic, and so, Austria can be fragile. And so you get to pick one of these countries. There's also Sweden, Denmark, Norway is up here. Great Britain. Historically, in 1805, it actually would have been called the United Kingdom of Great Britain and, Ireland, but they just went with Great Britain for simplicity's sake, I suppose. Like I said, this game is really, it's kind of hasn't been touched for almost 3 years now, going on 4, right? It's going to be 2017 here pretty soon. This game has not been touched. It's not been patched. Nothing has really been added. There's some mods for it that are actually really, really well done. They're really awesome mods. This here is the vanilla version. I will also be playing some mods, hopefully sometime in the near future. But, you know, this game, even though it was developed and released over 3 years ago, it actually still holds up pretty freaking well. The game runs great. It plays great. You guys are going to try and, you know, I hope to try and show you guys a little bit about what this game is really about. I'm not an expert at it, but it is fun. And there's actually a lot of features in this game that I wish Paradox would bring into other games. Crusader Kings 2, Europa Universalis IV. They can learn a lot from this franchise right here, from March of the Eagles, and you know, they just I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of strange, honestly. Actually, if you really consider everything, all things considered, this game really is a small gem, and it's kind of weird that, you know, Europa Universalis IV, Crusader Kings 2 have not taken more of an inspiration from this game. It's very weird. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and dive on in. I was considering what country to play as. France is honestly kind of easy. It's kind of easy to play as France. You have just loads of manpower. However, once you do start fighting a lot of people at one time, it can get maybe a little overwhelming. Spain is also pretty awesome to play as. It's pretty interesting. At this time in 1805, Spain was actually aligned with France. You know, Sicily is kind of hard. Some of the smaller states are really difficult. The Kingdom of Italy, Tuscany, the Papacy, really difficult stuff if you really want to play as those guys. Piedmont here, Piedmont's been reduced to, you know, Sardinia. Switzerland's very difficult. I figured we're going to actually probably play as the Austrians. So, in 1805, they were an enlightened despotism. So we have some monthly diplomats, national manpower modifier, -5%, monthly war exhaustion, militia attack, militia defense. We have King Franz II von Habsburg on the throne. He's a 575, kind of similar to how Europa Universalis IV has a rating for, you know, administrative, economic, and diplomatic power. Or it'd be administrative, diplomatic, and then military power. Yeah, so it's a similar ranking system, sort of. The difficulty is actually pretty low. It's not that hard to be, you know, Austria. They're a major power. The position Austria is in is untenable on all fronts. Austria is under pressure. In the west, we have lost control and influence in the Low Countries and Italy to France. In the north, Prussia is putting pressure on our preeminent position in Germany. And to the east, we have advancing Russia. We have an advancing Russia and the loss of a Polish buffer state. Only the south is quiet, but there's no guarantee it will remain so. Britain is once more at war with France, and there is an opportunity to regain our position in the west and improve our strategic position. There is danger. We have done this twice before, and both times we've paid the price in land and for the defeats. Both times we paid the price in land for the defeats. Do we risk it? But can we dare not? So obviously, the French Revolutionary Wars began in 1792, and both times Austria got their ass kicked. So Austria right now is at peace with France. There's war again, but what is Austria going to do? We're going to find out. Let's go and play as them. Do I want to be on high difficulty? Very hard, very easy. Let's go in normal. Yeah, aggressiveness and normal. And then maybe we'll try something a little different later on. But for now, we're going to take it kind of slow. All right, so we're going to jump on in. So look at this map here. There's a lot of information here. A lot on the map that we need to kind of deduce a little bit. So, basically, you kind of have to think of this game as Europa Universalis IV, but a little more detailed. There's more to the game about warfare than Europa Universalis IV. So there is a states system, right? So these major cities here, you have to occupy these major cities if you want to actually have the territory of the city and its surrounding territories ceded to you, right? So you have to occupy all these towns. You gotta go in there and you gotta siege them down. Now, obviously, sieges in 1805 did not last very long because of the power of artillery. Artillery was incredibly powerful and effective at this time period. You could siege down fortresses in a matter of weeks. Supplies, because of how many men you had to field on several fronts and several theaters, supplies was never enough to last for, you know, months, years on end. So forts fall, believe it or not, quite quickly. So that's the way you wage warfare. Is you have to raise these massive armies. You siege down these really, you know, significant cities. Budapest, you know, Vienna, Pressburg. Up here is Krakow, that used to belong to Poland. Lublin, Radom. And you occupy territory, and then you can demand territory and peace deals. You can have satellites and puppet states and things like that. So we're going to jump on in, and I'll try and explain as much as I can, as much as I know. Let's go ahead and take a look here at some of these fronts, right? So some of the fronts that we have. So we have over here, looks like we have control of Ravensburg, Memmingen, Bregenz, and we're bordering, let's see, Württemberg, Baden, a little bit of Prussian territory here in Ansbach. There's the HRE. The HRE is actually like a person in this game. It really is a real constituent state. It actually exists. It has its own government and stuff. They're actually a satellite of me, the HRE. The HRE was historically disbanded in 1806. I am the Holy Roman Emperor, at least I'm supposed to be. If you actually come over here to some of these tabs here that are pretty similar to other games by Paradox Interactive and Paradox Development Studio, it'll show you my government form, Enlightened Despotism. I have a decent king. He's been in power since 1792. That's his little portrait there. And these are victory conditions. We have to own, you know, a certain amount of territory, certain victory points, I guess you could say, to have dominance in the world. This is our budget. We make 70 ducats a month. Pretty good. Most of it just comes from taxes, so nothing crazy there. We have ducats, we have prestige, we have manpower. As you can see here, we have a lot of manpower, 85,000 men. You can go through that pretty quick, and you gain 6,000 a month, 6,500 a month actually. You can have a max manpower of 787,000. And then we have diplomats here, kind of similar to how Victoria 2 works, is that you have diplomats that you have to send out, and they recharge over time. And then we actually do have war exhaustion as well. That is real. You cannot wage war forever. And then we also do have ideas, actually. We can come over here to ideas, and there's certain ideas that we can pick. Land movement ideas, naval movement ideas, supply. All the major countries have specific ideas. So since we're Austria, we have Austrian ideas. And we can actually hover over these Austrian ideas. And the first we will get is Glorious Arms, and we get some prestige from land battles. We probably will want to take that because some of the later ideas, National Revolt Risk, National Manpower Modifier, Land Maintenance Modifier, those are pretty freaking important. So we're going to want to definitely rush for those ideas. So, the political situation in the beginning of the game, I'm kind of leaning towards invading Baden and Württemberg here. I think invading them would be fairly easy, and annexing all their territory would be fairly easy because I do want a way to strike at Alsace-Lothringen over here. I want to maybe attack for mines and such as well. There's Luxembourg right here, Metz over here, Strasbourg, Alsace-Lorraine is right here, Verdun, the big fortress of Verdun, is here. So we're going to want to try and figure out some way to march on in here, and I think maybe invading Baden and Württemberg in the beginning is going to be something to do. After that, I would actually really love to invade Prussia. I want to actually liberate most of what is Polish here from the Prussians and have it for myself. You can even see here Breslau and Glowitz. This is Silesia. We actually lost Silesia in the 1740s and the 1750s, what were called the Silesian Wars, and I do think that it might be smart to get those back. We recently annexed this territory here in Poland, so this is Polish territory. We had taken this only just recently, actually, about in 1795. We came to own all of this. I can click on Prussia here, and you can actually see they took a very large chunk of Poland in the north. I would love to take most of this. They do have Warsaw as well. Warsaw is very rich. So we're gonna try and go and get that. The Grand Duchy of Warsaw actually does have some cores here. So maybe we'll have to liberate the Grand Duchy of Warsaw. You never know. Okay, so let's go and take a look at our armies here. We have 20.6 thousand men, 17,000 men in Ravensburg, 20,000 in Innsbruck. We're going to go ahead and send these guys to Ravensburg here. We have pretty substantial forces here in Italy. We got 70,000 French troops across the river. If we're going to invade Prussia, though, we're going to need every man that we have, every man conscript of military age that's able to hold a gun. We're going to want them here in the north. So let's go ahead and send some troops to, what about Olmütz? Let's go ahead and select, looks like here we have maybe 40,000 with another, we have about 80,000 men right here around Vienna. We're going to want to move these guys. Why don't we take 40,000, 45,000 to Karlsbad, and we're going to move maybe 45,000 to Königsratz. And then these men are going to move to Olmütz. So we have 3 army groups, basically. Some guys that are ready to invade Baden and Württemberg. Some guys that are here in Italy, but they're going to be moving to Olmütz. And then we have some more guys that are moving to Olmütz as well to go and reinforce that position. Actually, might move these guys. No, that's fine. Actually, Olmetz is probably going to be just fine. And then I got some people, I got some troops moving to Koniggratz and then Karlsbad. So we're going to want to raise some more troops. We have 85,000 manpower, and we're going to need to make good use of it. So if you click on this military screen, this is actually kind of a recruitment screen. First, you want to select what you want. It kind of works similar to Europa Universalis IV. You have brigades of infantry, cavalry, artillery, and then you also have something in this game called supply. Supply lines are actually very important. If you can't maintain supply lines or you don't have enough food to feed your troops, you take more attrition than would be normal. So what we're going to do is I'm leaning towards, why don't we get some infantry brigades. So this is their manpower cost, and then this is their gold cost. So you can have a few different options here. You can actually select what's affordable, select all that all your provinces. This is built per province on a per province basis. So if I wanted, let's say 5 infantry regiments, I'd select 5 provinces here. It's going to cost me 15,000 men. It's going to cost me 28.5 ducats, and it's going to take 36 days, right? So a month to raise 15,000 men. It's pretty quick if you're asking me, but that's just me. And you can even go to the province actually, and it'll show you where these men are going to be built. So Pest is Budapest, and it takes me to Hungary. Pretty simple stuff. I think 15,000 infantry is good. Let's maybe get, why don't we get like 14,000 grenadiers? 223 days to train these grenadiers, a very long time. They're very expensive as well. Why don't we do maybe a couple Grenzers? These are light infantry skirmishers, 7,200 men, 12.31 ducats. Sounds good. We're going to want some horse artillery. We'll probably get artillery, pretty damn important in this game. You want maybe 8 to 10,000 artillery in your army if you could afford it. They're very expensive, kind of similar to Europa Universalis IV. They're very, very expensive. We're going to want some horse artillery, maybe get a few dragoons in there, right? Some heavy cavalry. And we'll want some supply lines too, some supply brigades. We're going to want to get by maybe 5,000 for a supply train. And the thing is because there's so many provinces on this map, you're going to want to have what are called rally points. Similar to Victoria 2 is that there are rally points here. I'm going to make Vienna and Budapest rally points actually. Okay, and so basically as far as my opening moves, I think we're going to invade Baden and Württemberg. Let's go up to speed 4. So it's 1st of January, 1805. I'm actually going to go ahead and declare right now because France usually has the tendency to guarantee the independence of these small German states. And because an entrance to Alsace-Lorraine is so important, I'm actually just going to declare right now. We need to move right now. So we're going to declare war here. So I can select this army, this 17,000 men, and you can actually, it brings up a dialogue here. It shows me total strength. It shows me the leader of the leader who I believe leads the center. And you actually do have 4 different flanks. You have the left flank, the center, the right flank, and your reserves. This is a detailed view. You can actually even move around, regiments of men wherever you want them. As such, you can actually swap who engages first, who engages, last. You can send these reserves. You could send this regiment here of 2,400 men. I believe this is line infantry, if I'm correct. Line infantry brigade. Yep, morale 2.4, frontage, speed. Very complicated stuff. It's a very complicated combat system that I wish was present in something like Europa Universalis IV, but I actually can understand why that would not be possible. So obviously you can select that your cavalry is on the flanks. You can even put so this is your reserve, right? So this is your reserve, right flank, left flank. I would want cavalry on the left and the right flanks. I would want some, probably want some more infantry on the left and the right. So then there's no troops in the reserve, right? So you don't have any troops that are able to be called into action that are fully trained and fully rested. So if I go to the detailed view, we have cavalry on the left, cavalry on the left, cavalry on the right. Our center is maybe a little weak, right? They're not being reinforced by cavalry regiments, but that's okay. No reserve troops. And then you need to appoint commanders. You need to have certain commanders. So I can go to the left flank here, and it brings up a pool of leaders, very similar to Victoria 2. And so obviously kind of what could be expected of something from Paradox Development Studio. There actually are maneuver ratings, offensive ratings, and defensive ratings, as well as traits. There actually is a trait system, just like Victoria 2. Some of them are good, some of them are bad. And then there actually is just a kind of quantification of the overall value of a leader, so to speak, from the tooltip, right? Aggregated value is not used directly by the game, though. Very curious. So I can actually select this overall expertise. It'll give me like my, 434. That's pretty decent. A 433, pretty good. If anybody has like a 5 or higher, that's pretty significant. We're going to go with this 434. So that's maneuver, offensive, and defensive. So he's pretty decent at everything, and he has no traits at the moment. I'm going to go select him to lead the left. We're going to select, how about this 433 to lead the center, and the 433 to lead the right flank. They all have unique names. They all have unique portraits, actually, which is pretty damn incredible. And then we will go ahead and appoint an officer to lead the reserves, just in case something happens. And so in this army here, we have 4,800 guards, 9,600 line infantry, 2,400 cavalry, no supply, no artillery. So if I bring up the diplomatic map mode, we are at war with Baden and Württemberg. We're going to move on in there and occupy their stuff, and then annex them, hopefully, or at least make them satellites, something along those lines. So a breakdown of armies is pretty simple. Guard infantry are your, very strong troops. Guards have very strong morale, but can only be committed if there's a leader with a proper trait. The group is only made up of one unit type, heavy infantry. So your guard infantry are your veteran troops, the best troops that you have, the best well-equipped, well-trained, and well-disciplined troops that you have at your disposal. They're very, very strong. They will fight to the death, but they're very expensive and they're very numerous, or they're not very numerous, right? So you can't just form armies of guards. It's just not how it works. Line infantry were the standard infantry of the day. And so line infantry, this group is actually containing two different brigades, regular infantry brigades, and then light infantry brigades. So you got to keep that in mind. When you build skirmishers, grenzers, Jaegers, things like that, you're actually training line infantry, technically. Cavalry, or what they sound like, cavalry, light cavalry, medium cavalry, heavy cavalry. You have, light cavalry like Uhlans, Hussars, people who scout. Medium cavalry would be like Lancers. Lancers are pretty decent, actually. They can break a line, but they can't be engaged for very long. And then heavy cavalry would have been your cuirassiers and your dragoons. People with armor, people with pistols, people with sabers. They were meant to get up in there, charge an enemy line on these huge-ass war horses, and then they would just beat the enemy to death. That's what heavy cavalry were meant for. They were meant to break an infantry formation when they were, out of position or in the middle of a melee combat, to either kill or at least make the infantry flee the field. Napoleon was a master of managing heavy cavalry. The guy knew when the time was right to strike. Your artillery is what it sounds like: light, field, and heavy artillery, as well as emplaced infantry, or emplaced artillery, usually for fortresses and things like that. So I don't have any artillery in this group. And then you have your light infantry. Light infantry are actually usually partisans and raider cavalry like Cossacks. So they're very, very good at moving quickly and disrupting enemy formations. But they're not really that suited to sustained fire as far as like fighting an open field. They're better for forests and things like that. And then they're also not really as numerous. They're kind of expensive, and they're not very well trained in melee. So that's light infantry. And then you have militia. People like Russia and maybe the Ottomans and maybe even France would actually use a lot of militia. They're cheap units that can be useful in numbers. There's only one type of brigade that you can recruit, which is militiamen. That's what they're for. And then you have your supply train. Supply is actually really interesting. It's not exactly explained that well in the game, but you need supply if you want your troops to last in the field for great amounts of time. You really do. You need supply. So, all right, guys, before this episode gets too long, I'm going to go ahead and take a break here. I know we haven't paused. I do apologize, but there is a lot to explain in this game, and I do love this game. Hopefully you guys are interested in this game, and I will see you guys in the next episode. We will go ahead and actually have some gameplay in the next episode. Thank you so much for watching. As always, please make sure to like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys very, very soon. Thanks so much.